Hello everyone, welcome back to a consistent upload schedule. My name's Alsace, and y'all remember when I said I don't know how to watch television? That's still true, and it makes things difficult for me to review things on the channel, which is why we normally look at like movies or the first episode of things, to be honest. But today I figured we'd do something a little bit different, and we could start making fun of like specific arcs in like tokusatsu or like other television shows and stuff like that. By that I mean, instead of looking at an entire series spanning like 30 to like 50 episodes, we can look at like these small mini arcs in television series that only last like 2 to 5 episodes, you know what I mean? And since this is our first outing in this type of video, I figured we should start off with like one of the most infamous arcs in Power Rangers history. Today we're looking at the 5-part special, the 5-part special, Green with Evil. I don't think I should really have to explain what this arc is to any of you, but basically we're looking at the 5 episodes that are dedicated to introducing the 6th Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Before I start, I really do want to give a quick shout out to my friend Squall Charleston for helping me find crispy HD footage for this video. I know most of you guys probably already know who Squall Charleston is, but I just want to say a quick thank you to him because he's a great dude and I really do love him a lot. The first episode of Green with Evil starts at the Angel Grove Martial Arts Expo, where we see this grown-ass man tweaking out in front of a bunch of teenagers. It then cuts to the main 5 giving Jason a pep talk, and then it cuts to Tommy just kicking and jumping by himself. Like, no one is asking him to do this. He's just sitting there, doing this same move over and over again, like a fucking psychopath. It turns out that he's the new kid in school, and while this is happening, Rita's just looking down at her telescope and is like, "Look guys, he'd make a great Green Ranger."
Did you see that guy? He'll be a great Green Ranger.
So I guess that explains why she picked him, I guess. It then cuts back to the juice bar where Jason and Tommy are facing off at the expo. The competition ends in a draw, and after this, Bulk and Skull try to pick up Kimberly while eating a moon pie, which is an odd strategy, but I mean shit. I normally use like a Nutty Buddy or something, but that's just me. Tommy jumps in with a literal milady.
Didn't you hear the lady?
And does whatever the fuck this is supposed to be. Again, Tommy's probably a psychopath. After this, Rita does a literal seance and meets up with Tommy in an alleyway, where she then does another seance, and then proceeds to remind the audience as to who each of the Power Rangers were. Which is great for me because I was still trying to understand who the fuck those color-coded kids were in the beginning of the episode. Tommy then breaks into the command center, and like, I never noticed that Tommy's such a simp before. Not only was there like the Kimberly thing from earlier, but like he keeps referring to Rita as McQueen.
I am her Green Ranger and she is my queen.
Dog, Tommy's a weirdo. Goldar grows to massive size and terrorizes the city, but the other 5 Rangers are too busy polishing their car to do anything about it. And I ain't even mad at them. How you expect them to pick up bitches without a fresh coat of wax? Look at Billy when the girls walked up. This kid is dying for some squish. Fuck the city, Billy's trying to get laid. They then use the rad bug to fly to the command center once they hear that something's up. And Kimberly says this shit.
I bet Rita's up to something.
Which is like, no shit, Rita's up to something. Who do you think you've been dealing with for the past 10 episodes now? Mitch McConnell? The Rangers morph and stuff and call their Zords, and then Tommy breaks into the Megazord.
Surprise, shawty!
And like, this scene is so iconic, man. Like, every Power Rangers fan remembers their first time seeing this moment. Like, this shit never happens. The Megazord cockpit is such like a sacred place, and that is like never touched in Power Rangers or Sentai, really. And like, seeing this happen is just like so freaking cool because we've never really seen that happen before or afterwards, really. So Tommy kicks their asses out and proceeds to beat the shit out of them. And the first episode ends with the command center in shambles with their backs against the wall as they realize that they don't even have Zordon or Alpha to help them out this time. In episode 2, Rita decides to give Tommy the Sword of Darkness in order to keep him under her spell forever. And Tommy returns to the alleyway where Rita picked him up in the first episode. And Bulk and Skull run into him there and decide to start messing with him again, as if he didn't just do all that shit in the hallway earlier. Thankfully, Bulk and Skull don't get their shit rocked, because Tommy decides that would be a better idea to just piss out of his eyeballs in an act of dominance. Rita decides to test Tommy's strength yet again with some putties, so that he can earn the Sword of Darkness, as if putties have ever given anyone an issue to begin with. I know I like to mess around a lot on this channel and stuff, but in all honesty, I could take down some putties. After this, Tommy sends Jason's ass to Rita's place. The other Rangers meet up at the command center, where they're able to track down the Green Ranger, where he's apparently spending all of his free time just swinging around the Sword of Darkness while on top of this cliff. Everyone's like, yo, it's go time, and they then decide to do nothing because Jason isn't there. As if to say everyone else is useless without Jason being there. Which makes no sense as to why the fuck they're a team of 5. Jason starts to fight Goldar, and I know I haven't mentioned this earlier, but we're only 2 episodes deep, and there's been a ton of like civilian footage, like civilian fight scenes in this episode, and it's just like phenomenal, dude. Power Rangers used to do this stuff all the time, and I forgot how much I missed it, to be honest. Like, we just don't have this stuff anymore, and it's really dope to see. The 4 make an attempt to take down Tommy without Jason, and of course, they get their asses handed to them yet again. The Power Rangers then, for the first time in history, I think, decide to call the Megazord, presumably in order to just crush Tommy under like the sheer mass of the robot, which is something that I don't remember ever happening, but I'm actually really glad to see it in this episode, because like that shit never happens, man. Even though it's like the most obvious way to take down like any monster, it just doesn't happen. They don't successfully do it, of course, but like it's just cool to see. Episode 2 ends with Goldar threatening to stab Jason to death, which is raw as hell, to be honest. And episode 3 starts with him missing entirely. Episode 3 of this arc is also the episode that they introduced Scorpina into the series, and I don't know why I don't remember this actually happening, but it's kind of a nice surprise. I don't know. Also, I'm mad at myself for not noticing this Japanese stock footage when I was a kid. Like, this shit goes from 720p to 360 in the matter of seconds, and I just used to accept that. The remaining 4 Rangers split up to look for Jason. Bulk and Skull kiss, and Kimberly and Zack chase after Tommy, but run into some putties. Afterwards, Tommy taps in for Goldar, and I really just want to commend Austin St. John for a moment. Like, he has this skill for, like, making god-awful dialogue sound not as bad.
I am her Green Ranger, and she is my Empress. She's evil!
It's something that the entire original cast is actually, like, really good at, to be honest with you. And I think that's part of the reason why I never really liked Rocky or Aisha when they replaced the other guys. Not Adam. Adam's fine. But I never liked those other 2 weirdos, and for good reason, to be honest. Billy is able to fix the teleportation system, which saves Jason right before Tommy is about to finish him off. The Rangers then suit up again in order to take down Scorpina, and afterwards we see Tommy just chilling in Rita's lair, doing the same roundhouse kicks by himself again. Like, I don't know why he keeps practicing the same move. I promise you, if the Power Rangers just learned to counter this one kick, none of this would be an issue right now. And episode 3 ends with Goldar growing into giant size once again. And episode 4 starts with the Rangers about to take action, but their fucking power morphers explode?
It's Morphin time!
And before we really get into that, I just want to talk about how satisfying this sequence of events is, to see like the 5 of them move in unison like that. Like, we normally don't get to see all 5 of them doing that, because like normally, you know, like it zooms in on the one who's saying it's morphing time, and then it like cuts to the pre-recorded morphing sequence. But this was like simultaneously the most satisfying yet surreal experience I've ever had watching the Power Rangers, because we never see like it just keep going and then fucking up after that. This was great. It turns out that the Rangers are unable to morph due to the command center like soaking up too much power trying to find Zordon and causing a rift in the morphing grid. Is this the first time they've mentioned the morphing grid in the show? Forget any of that not making sense. Was this the first time they mentioned the morphing grid? I'm probably wrong, but I'm gonna leave it in the video regardless to bait the comments. It's for the algorithm, my G, you understand. The issue only lasts for like 3 minutes as Billy's able to fiddle around with some wires or something. I don't really understand it. We get to see the inside of the juice bar shaking as Goldar's giant body is attacking the city. And this is also really dope because, again, we normally don't get to see these moments in Power Rangers, like the inside of buildings and like the people in them and how they're being affected by the giant monster battle outside. And while this is happening, Bulk and Skull decide to steal a fucking bus. I don't know why, they just do it. The Green Ranger breaks back into the command center and once again shuts Alpha's ass down. Goldar picks up the bus that has Bulk and Skull inside, and instead of like crushing it or something, he just decides to take them to the beach.
Take them to the beach!
No!
And honestly, that just sounds delightful. Alpha's backup system kicks in back over at the command center, and he's able to trap Tommy within this force field. The Rangers call out for the Megazord, and Rita sends this bus over the cliff, but the Rangers are able to grab it in their Megazord and place it on the edge of another cliff. Rita has Scorpina grow to massive size as well, and Rita is also able to teleport the Green Ranger out of Alpha's force field, and also has him grow giant size. So now we have 3 massive fucks just running around for no reason. They knock the Rangers out of their Megazord and throw that bitch into a volcano, but all hope is not lost back at the command center, as it turns out that the computer was able to scan the Green Ranger's DNA while he was trapped in the force field. They project that beat onto the viewing globe, and episode 4 ends with the Rangers finding out that it was Tommy Oliver all along. The final episode begins with everyone in fucking shock over the fact that Tommy is the Green Ranger.
How could Tommy do this to us?
Dog, you've known this kid for like 3 days. Y'all just met this dude over the weekend and are acting like he's ruined your Secret Santa gift swap or something. It cuts to the juice bar where we find that everything is fine now, I guess, and everyone is sitting around watching episode 19 of Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger on the news. Kimberly goes to confront Tommy while he's in the middle of pumping iron, which sounds like an awful idea, to be honest. That man is full of testosterone. Never confront a man while he's sweaty. After this confrontation, Rita decides that it's now time to call up the Dragon Zord, which I really thought would have happened earlier by now, but whatever. The Rangers show up without their Zords to try and stop it. I don't know what the fuck they thought they were gonna do, but at least they're trying. Alpha is then able to reach Zordon finally, which then allows the Rangers to be able to call upon their Zords again, even though they were just put into a volcano. The Tyrannosaurus and Dragon Zord have this sick fight scene, which is awesome because it's always fun to see the Zords fight outside of the Megazord combination. But unfortunately, it's kind of short-lived because they immediately combine into the Megazord after like 20 seconds of that shit. The Megazord lifts up the Dragon Zord like it's nothing and just slams it on the fucking ground, which is awesome. But also this happens.
Give it up, Tommy!
No way! That ain't fucking Tommy, don't lie to me.
I must be victorious for my queen!
Fucking simp. After this, the Rangers stand in a straight line and Jason and Tommy shake hands, symbolizing the fact that they're now a big old team. After this, the Dragon Zord combines with a Mastodon, Triceratops, and Saber-Tooth Tiger for literally no reason. Like, Goldar and Scorpina aren't even there anymore. They literally just did that shit to waste our time. The final episode ends with the 6 Rangers together at the command center, where they do that thing with their hands and then like the freeze frame at the end.
Power Rangers!
They did that in the first episode too, so I guess it's cute. And with that, we've watched the entirety of Green with Evil, and I have to say that I really did enjoy this a lot more than I was expecting to. I'm always afraid to go back to MMPR because everyone's always talking about how it doesn't hold up and how it's like not as good as we remember and all that. But I honestly have to say that these 5 episodes were phenomenal. Like, they're genuinely well executed and incredibly entertaining. I would even say that they're actually better than I remembered them, to be honest with you. So with that in mind, hopefully you can join me again when we look at a different arc of episodes that maybe is the Power Rangers or is like something else entirely. I don't know. Feel free to recommend specific arcs in the comments below for us to look at, and I'll be sure to check them out. And hopefully, I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!